I want to sketch a detail of a framed floor and a concrete wall connection. This is the concrete wall. Outside is over here, inside is over here. Now, if you have a concrete mass in your project, like a chimney or some other architectural mass that we've talked about, then you may have the situation where a floor needs to be attached to your concrete wall. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a ledger to hang our floor joists off of. So that ledger could be any number of different things. Could be a piece of 2x joist material. It could be an LVL. It could be a steel ledger. But for purposes of this sketch, it'll just be an LVL. So it looks like a piece of plywood. It's got a lot of laminated layers. But we're going to attach it to the concrete wall. It can be attached in several different ways, but what we'll suggest that's being done is that we're going to suggest that we use a wedged anchor, or sometimes called redheads. So what will happen is we'll drill holes into the concrete ever so often. Then we'll set an anchor into that concrete, and then we'll drive bolts through. We're going to drill also through the ledger, and we'll run bolts through there. And as we tighten the bolts, this wedge that's on the end of this fastener will expand and lock it into place into those drilled holes that we've made. The purpose is to secure this ledger onto the concrete wall. So from this point, we can hang our floor joists off of this ledger. We can face mount onto the ledger joist hangers. And you may remember what a joist hanger looks like. It looks something like this. What it does is it creates a saddle that you can sit your joist into. So it could face mount onto this ledger this direction, and then you can sit your saddle into, or I'm sorry, you can sit your joist into this saddle, however it needs to sit. So that's what this is right here. On top of your floor joists, then you'll place either 3/4 inch or 5/8 inch floor sheathing, and whatever material you'd like to have on top of that, whether it's carpet or tile. Either way, you might decide that you want some sort of a ceiling material below. Could be gypboard, could be any number of things. If you want to lessen the sound transmission from the loft area or the upstairs to the downstairs, you may decide to put some sort of insulation in here. Okay, so what we're going to do is give this a profile line. And we're going to beef up some of the lines just a little bit so that we can see the elements of the detail a little bit better. Okay, and we want this hatched so you can tell that it's concrete without having to read anything. We will also go through and label things. So I'm going to just knock out a few concepts or a few things that I want to make sure that you understand you need to label. Identify this wall. This is your concrete wall. Identify the ledger. Identify your floor joist. Identify your decking, and you can either use 5/8 or 3/4 inch decking. Identify whatever material you decide to put here. Could be 1/2-inch chipboard, would be just fine. You're going to want to call these out as concrete wedge anchors. I suppose you could call them redheads. That's a brand name. You can get these concrete anchors that are called redheads if you want to. Decide if you're going to do insulation, then go ahead and label that. And that should be what we need for this detail. Go ahead and put your section lines in so that it masks off anything that's not needed. And there you go.